It all started 3 million years ago, when humans were nothing more than stinky apes dominating the wilderness. Among those apes was the protagonist of our tale, who was just an ordinary Australopithecus with an unusually strong love for hunting. However, the defining trait that set him apart among all the specimens around him was the fact that he never perished. While his fellows turned to dust with the passing millennia, he remained alive to witness it all. Countless eons swept past him, but time had literally no impact on him. In the eternity of life he spent his time hunting, battling, and fighting. At some point, it became more than just a way of life. It became his obsession and sole goal. In simpler terms, shredding his prey became his ultimate excitement. After spending 3 million years living this peak life, the guy got absolutely ripped, with nothing but raw physical strength gained from years of combat. He became so powerful that he literally ascended to the ranks of the gods. It didn't take him long to become the #1 ranked god in the divine realm. Now Mu, the once ordinary ape, is in charge of planet Earth. But becoming a god or some divine being had never been this guy's target, and right now boredom is tweaking the hell out of him. Out of sheer boredom, he lightly presses the ground beneath him with just his toe, and that one tap is enough to shake the entire planet. The planet he's sitting on happens to be the god's sanctuary, known as the divine realm. Every other god in the sanctuary feels the massive tremor caused by Mu's casual tap. The second-ranked god, Lucifer, the god of Elmir, is especially annoyed by the shock because he has no doubt who's responsible for it. Meanwhile, Mu slumps on his throne, his mood visibly bitter. Apparently, he's already fought everyone who might have posed any sort of real challenge, and now there's no one left who can stand against him. It's been so long since his last battle that he can't even remember when it was. Perhaps it was 1,000 years ago. Seems like my guy is quite literally suffering from victory. He's so powerful that there's no one left to challenge him. But now that he thinks about it, if there's no one strong enough to fight him, maybe all he has to do is weaken himself to make it exciting again. With this genius idea in mind, Mu decides to possess the body of a weak human from Earth, where he'll seek opportunities to fight without wasting time. He calls out to his familiar, Yang, the massive reptilian creature, who quickly appears ready to respond to his master's summons. Yang isn't just any ordinary companion, he's the supreme god's secretary, and his name literally translates to dragon in English. When Yang asks the reason behind this sudden call, Mu casually shares his plan to visit Earth. Hearing this, Yang panics and immediately casts an absolute binding spell, chaining his master down. He demands a plausible explanation for this abrupt and reckless decision. With the gods meeting on the horizon, Mu is supposed to stay put and fulfill his responsibilities. But Mu couldn't care less about any of that. Without even acknowledging the spell, he begins walking, dragging his massive reptilian secretary along like it's nothing. Yang desperately tries to hold him back, but it's a futile effort. The real reason Yang doesn't want Mu to leave isn't just duty, it's his own fear. This reptilian guy knows that once his master is gone, the other gods will turn their frustration and grudges on him. He's certain they'll use him as their personal punching bag to vent all the pent-up anger they've harbored toward Mu. But now that Mu has finally made up his mind, there's no power in the world that can stop him from fulfilling his desire to fight. Effortlessly, he breaks through the chains binding him and turns to his secretary. He openly declares that he'd consider staying if only Yang is willing to fight him in return. Of course, getting absolutely shredded by his own master is the last thing this poor reptile wants, so nervously, he simply wishes his master a safe trip instead. With all obstacles out of his way, Mu shifts his focus to finding a candidate to possess, tuning into the thoughts of the humans on Earth. He scans the sea of minds, listening to their wishes and desires. Amidst the noise, one thought stands out the most to him, which is a desire from a particular guy who wants to be sent to another world. Mu grins, ear to ear at this revelation. Not only has he found the perfect candidate to possess, but he can also grant this guy's desire as a bonus. It's a win-win for both of them. He then turns to his companion and announces that he's leaving his body behind and handing over the responsibility of taking care of whoever ends up in his place. This throws Yang into an absolute panic. Desperately, he tries to reason with his master, explaining that if the soul leaves the body and the body dies, the soul will vanish as well. But Mu, being the stubborn force of nature he is, has already made up his mind. He brushes off Yongyang's concerns and promises that he'll return as soon as possible. Now, let's switch to the 17-year-old earthling, Li Ho, who up until now has been just a weakling living his life by inserting himself as the main character in games where he can feel on top of the world. But this game is the final one he's playing because he's tired of his pitiful existence and is about to end his life, hoping to get isekai and live the life he truly desires. With no hesitation in his mind, he jumps off. As he falls, Leo curses his god, trying to provoke him into sending him to another world. Eventually, he hits the ground with a nasty splattering sound, and after dying, the next thing he sees is a massive beast standing in front of him, leaving him sweating bullets. Both Leo and Yongyang echo the same question, who the are you? Now let's switch to Mu, who possesses Leo's body a second before it hits the ground. As soon as the body is rendered a bloody mess upon impact, he can barely move his limbs. Before proceeding further, here's a little lecture about involuntary muscles. Muscles that move without conscious control are called involuntary muscles. The heart and the muscles of internal organs are examples of involuntary muscles. Mu, who has spent 3 million years training only the physical body, has reached the peak of understanding the human form. He can consciously control every part of the body, such as blood vessels, and yes, even involuntary muscles are no exception. He repairs the heart of this dying body by manipulating the blood vessels, and even manages to stop the bleeding. Honestly, it's been a while since he's bled this much, so the feeling of losing blood is just turning him on to no end. He's now feeling very proud of the decision he made to come here. First, he decides to head to the base, which of course is supposed to be the house of Earthling Li Ho. After getting back into his dorm room, Mu spends hours digging through memories and figures out most of the things he should know. Apparently, Leo has only one family member and they're male, but he lives far away, so Leo lives here alone. In simple terms, Li Ho definitely fits the bill for being poor and miserable, and his current occupation is attending a place called school. Furthermore, there's one particular guy who's always finding excuses to beat the living daylights out of Li Ho. This only makes Mu happy, as the sole purpose of his visit to this planet is to fight. He's ready to jump straight into a fight and start beating the hell out of anyone who crosses him. While he's getting all hyped up, he suddenly feels a tickling pain in his muscles. He quickly realizes that this muscle soreness must be from the handstand he did earlier, although it's aching like hell, and you'd think that would be a huge turnoff. My guy is absolutely exhilarated to feel this familiar pain of muscle soreness, something he hasn't felt in 1,000 years. The next day, the spot where Li Ho had fallen catches the attention of the authorities and is quickly turned into a restricted crime zone. With so much blood on the ground, they're trying to figure out who it might belong to. Mu also notices the officers gathered there, but he doesn't walk that path and simply takes a turn toward his class. After arriving at school, Mu opens the classroom door with the force of an animal, causing it to bounce back and smack him in the face. There's also this guy we have seen in Leo's memories. He takes note of Mu's presence and questions him about his foolishness. Seeing this familiar face, Mu quickly recalls that this is the same bastard who often bullied Li Ho. The sight of his prey being served to him on a golden plate like this makes him feel absolutely euphoric. Even the bully gets a little sassy seeing how this loser is grinning maniacally, so he puts his phone down, gets ready, and throws a punch without any warning. The punch causes Mu's face to bleed, but he doesn't react at all to his enemy's preemptive attack. You see, Mu has his own rules when it comes to fighting. A fight only begins when all parties involved have this implicit understanding, or you can call it a will to fight. Therefore, the key lies in the opponent's intent. The way to confirm that intent is by waiting for the opponent's preemptive attack. Although this code of conduct causes Mu to take a lot of damage to his face, he's glad that he now finally has the green light to proceed with the fight. So, without a second thought, he delivers a devastating blow right to this bastard's face. Mu puts so much force into his punch that all the muscles in his arm electrify with pain from the muscle soreness. The pain is so unbearable that he literally makes a face like he just ate something nasty. Let's not forget the fact that they're in a classroom and the teacher immediately starts shouting his ass off, furious to see these two idiots fighting each other. The bully, on the other hand, feels his pride crumbling after getting rocked by such a hard punch. To save face, he launches himself at our boy. Mu quickly gets into high alert but isn't sure if he can save himself. If his body were in good shape, he'd easily avoid this much, but since he currently lacks the necessary strength, he decides to use a different trick he has up his sleeve. Even so, he still ends up taking a hard blow from the bully, and learns the hard way that there's no mana on Earth. The bully prepares himself to throw another punch, while Mu dreads the fact that he's running out of options to defend himself. But still, he steels himself to face this bastard head-on. Even if he can't use his arms, legs, or magic, Mu just uses his hard head literally and takes the punch directly to his skull. His skull is so solid that the bully actually hears his own bones cracking, leaving him in agonizing pain. He never thought he'd experience this. While the opponent is dazed and distracted by the pain, Mu takes this opportunity and slams his head right into the bastard's belly, right where the human's weakest point lies, the solar plexus. Afterward, he follows up with an uppercut using his head, smashing the bastard under his chin. With that final blow, the bully loses all remaining strength, and all the general alpha kids in the room immediately grab their phones to record the guy in his misery. Everyone's faces glisten with sweat as they watch Leo effortlessly win. Just yesterday, they'd seen him get beaten up, but this insane comeback is absolutely unbelievable. As for our boy, he's completely lost in his own thoughts. He vividly recalls how, when a fight ends and the excitement settles, there's a unique feeling you can only experience then. The dull, regular pain pulsing in the areas where you were hit, and the sticky, bitter taste of blood seeping into your mouth. Well, this is exactly the feeling he's been longing for. And right now, he's absolutely turned on by this overwhelming sensation. Mu crouches down and makes sure to express his gratitude to the bully. But his way of expressing his gratitude is something rather unusual. Something even I didn't see coming. He literally opens his mouth, bites off the bully's ear, and spits it onto the ground in the most barbaric way possible. This sight deepens everyone's anxiety even further,